UX in big data analytics. You must have heard this term UX in big data. So I'll be covering this big data, what is big data, who creates it, why UX is important in big data, our real world examples in big data analytics, and our learnings in big data space, what we have learned in last 10 years in big data space, and how to simplify big data problems, because we dealt with a lot of big data problems. How do we simplify those from the UX perspective? And then key skills you need to get into a UI and UX person in big data space, and future in big data analytics for UI and UX person. So what is big data? If you look at the current picture on the left hand side, there is a humongous amount of data being generated by machines, which we call it big data. It has 4 V's behind it: volume, variety, velocity, and veracity. So all the terms are very clear. Volume is a huge amount of data. Variety is a different type of data. Velocity is basically speed of data by which it is coming. And veracity is the uncertainty in the data, because data can be captured, non-captured, so there can be a lot of scenarios in the data capturing. So every company who enters into big data first, they have this confused statement like what to do with this data, how do we deal with this. It has a lot of good insight, but they don't know what to do with it. Who creates this data? So everything around us, if you look at from Facebook, LinkedIn, everything is generating data. Your devices, you're using watches, you're using cell phones, everybody is generating data. You're going to a government website, making your passport is generating data. You're booking an Uber, it's generating data. Everything is today generating data. That's how this data being created, and we are the creators of the big data. So how the internet minute looks like in big data. So in 2018, this is the current state, 18 million text messages every minute being sent, and 38 million WhatsApp messages. If you look at Twitter, 481,000 tweets. So if you read about, there will be humongous amount of data being created every minute by us. So UX in big data. What is the role of UX? Is the real bridge between big data analytics and the end user, because UX let you understand what are the basic insights there in the data. If you look at on right hand side, you can see the guy is happy because he can able to see what is happening inside this huge humongous amount of data. It can show like what is happening in United States, which all areas having the issues there, and you can drill down to see further. So all this information can be easily presented in, and users can take a business decision depending upon these user inputs. So our real world examples for big data applications. Sorry about that, I'm not able to run the demo because it was running on my system. So I'll just quickly walk it through. So network load advisor, this is one of our product, and the problem was telecom provider customer were facing issue. I think in India everybody is already aware of it. People are having a lot of call drops happening, and there are a lot of bad browsing experience. You're having just single signal somewhere, so you cannot browse it properly. So our customer in United States, they have these problems, and they came to us, and then we have analyzed their data, and we come up with a product called Load Advisor. How we are helping is, we were showing them real time what is happening in their cell sites. Cell sites are basically the tower for which you are connected. All the users are being connected. It shows you like this is one of the site which is the most congested site. We can on real time we're showing that which sites are most congested, and user can drill into the customer executive can drill into it, and further he can decide whether he can block the congested users. I can quickly show. I have some images for that. I think there's some problem in that. Maybe I'll show it there later. Okay, this is another product, Live Ops, where our customers were complaining. They were getting a lot of customer calls from their customers because they were having a lot of network issues, and they were having some wire problem, all that stuff they were getting. So we have like excess calls which are getting being customer being called, and excess, they need to send excess technician to the end users, and which is causing a huge amount of, like every truck used to cost around $120 per hour. So we have saved a lot of money using our product called Live Ops, where we have shown them all the critical anomalies which are being coming, and we have reduced the load of anomalies from alerts from say around 90% if you reduce. Instead of showing 100 alerts, now we show just 10 particular alerts which are actually critical for the user, and then network engineers can actually act upon them. So we have reduced around $500 million of the cost annually for our customers, Comcast. So our learning in the big data space. So if you look at, this is the Guavus timeline for our UI development in big data space. So we started in like 2008 when we started actually developing the UI in big data. We started with static dashboards on big data, and then in 2010 we got a lot of requests from our customers. We want to have interactive dashboard and some kind of reportings because now they want to understand their data deeper. And going forward, like 2012, they wanted to understand, they want to try themselves to drill down inside the data. That's how given them more leverage so that they can drill inside themselves. So give more power to the user. And then 2015, we were working on the alerts, actionable alerts, so that any alert comes, you can take automatic action on top of that. So that was the next action. And 2018, where we are working today is, we are making a whole unified experience as a data exploration tool. So earlier, exploratory UI was just a UI piece of it, where user can drill, but now data exploration tools are being built. Currently, it is built for the data scientists and expert engineers, but going forward, the forecast is like everybody's moving towards big data. So to 2020, everybody will be wanted to explore data. So we want to make it so simple and a unified experience, so you can use all your tools which are existing in market with some kind of unified experience that we are currently working on. So key points, what we have in terms of our learning from UX in big data is, UX is the key in defining the product. If you go to any of the companies, most of the companies, business analysts, product owners, program managers, architects, they are the one who define the products, and UX, they always involve almost at the end stage where they say, okay, just design these mockups and all that stuff. But I think the UX is the key point. You have to involve them in the very first stage itself to understand your business need and customer need. That's how UX will get an actual benefit for your product. And dashboard design. So there is next thing, because everything you see at the UI is a dashboard for a user. So you have to make sure all the key insights are being captured well on your dashboard, because customer is going to take decision depending on that. So you have to make sure, because it is having some dollar value on it. Data visualization. This is the building block of a dashboard. I told you like dashboard is very important, and data visualization is key part of it. So because human brain processes graphs and charts better than spreadsheets and charts, spreadsheet and the tables. So it is important we make our dashboard in such a way it has all the different information in terms of charts, simple or complex. We'll talk about it. Okay, so simple, if you have something very simple, like data is in form of some top end thing you're showing, then you can use pie chart, bar chart, those things. But the intent is like when there is some complexity of data in big data space, there will be most of the time there will be complexity of data. You have to make sure you don't need to hide the information. You have to show the information in actual connecting way so that user can able to analyze data and visualize it. So this is one of example of our complex component where we have actually shown data for a particular user in different planes. He's getting anomalies, and on different time you can see there is a timeline at the bottom. You can see his outlier score, and he's getting anomalies on different planes. And on the same time you can see how many other users are getting the similar kind of anomalies. On right hand side you see like there are 12 other users being connected on the email outlier. So you have to make sure while doing complex, you have to make sure everything has to be connected well. User is able to do his use case very well. He can click on another user, the whole scenario will change. It will pivot the whole data, and you can now look at from his perspective how, when he got these anomalies, how they are connected, what he got in past, what are the other planes which got the anomalies. So you have a good kind of correlation being done. Next is time zone. So I think in big data space, time zone is very, very important because data is time driven. So you have to make sure whenever you're showing data to a user, it has to be time zone driven. Like in IST, it is important, show them in IST. If in US, show them in particular time zone. And in US and other countries which serve DST, you have to make sure DST has to be shown. So DST is basically daylight savings time. In some countries, they serve it. Second is form factor. So you have to always design your interface in such a way, you have to first understand your customer needs, what type of customers they wanted to have, like they might have different personas and different level of view they want, and depending on that, they might have different devices requirement, like CEOs and executive usually use tablets nowadays a lot. Some people want to see some kind of notification on their watches. So you have to make sure you define your product according to the use case needed. Then is customer problem. So this is one of our biggest learning is customer problem is always changing in big data space. You solve a problem, he'll come with you in next 3 months, I need something this. That's why we want people, give our customer an exploration capability. So give power to the user. See, the user is going through whatever he wanted to go in the data, give him a power so that he can himself learn about his data and make sure he's able to get all the insights he wants. How to simplify big data problems? So first is focus on decision. So first is build personas. First thing is you have to make sure always you define all your different personas as per your application. What are the different personas? What are their different views? What they actually wanted to see. Once you define your personas, then at each level you have very clarity like what kind of roles I have. I think this is generic UX process. Here it will be more like nothing from data perspective here. And next is define key use cases. So you have to make sure your use cases are well defined at each persona level. So that also with the device in mind. Next is summarize but don't hide. So summarize the key facts and analytics on your dashboard because that is the key part of his looking at it. It will reduce cognitive load on the user because user don't want to waste his time to understand and read your dashboard. He just want to look at the actual point. It's like you're looking at your watch, you want to see the time. You don't want to calculate it doing something. It has to be very crisp and clear to the user. So if you look at an example here, customer is having bad data quality issues due to the lack of good signal strength. 70% of time subscribers have latched on 3G network with 1 bar. So as soon as he got a call from the customer, he'll understand this, he knows this is the problem he's facing, he can always tell him, oh, this is the problem, I know, I can see that. And you have to provide the deep dive in your system so that the end customer will be able to have full trust on your system. So you have to give actual data on it, why this has happened, what was the problem, what is the application he was browsing, what was his previous experience in last 1 month or 3 months, whatever the time. So it gives a good trust on your system, how your system is acting. Next is use domain-specific terms. So I think this is one of the crucial points in big data, and I think it should be valid in other things also, because the system you're defining is meant for the users of that domain, not for us. So you have to make sure you use the right vocabulary for that domain and use it at appropriate places. So this will give you, user will accept your product easily. So user acceptance will automatically come into picture. Don't sacrifice everything for sake of simplicity. So in UX, a lot of people always talk about let's be simple, let's be simple. So it's good to be simple, but sometime in big data space, you have to handle the complex use cases as I shown you there also in the last complex visualization. If it helps them to do their job faster, let's do it. Don't be shy about it. So let me give an example of it. If you look at the guy is looking at a lot of alerts are being coming here, and he wanted to see one of his critical alert, he click on the alert, he'll see all the details there itself. Because he cannot act immediately once he get an alert, he wanted to understand why that alert came, what time it came, how many calls reproduced it actually, and he can see all the previous history on it so that he can take a wise decision whether it is the right alert or not. Okay, so this is another thing which, because in big data space you cannot always say queries are fast. In big data space, most of the time queries are slow also, so you have to handle it accordingly. So how we have handled it, so I'll just explain it, and then obviously people can have different multiple ways to do it. So if it takes, what we have thought is, if it takes more than 1 minute to get any data to be queried from the backend, what we need to do is, we need to create offline reports like CSV PDFs. If it takes less than 1 minute, we suggest let the user browse to other screens, and once he get the result, show him a notification like on top right, we show notification, data is ready, click and you can go back. There are multiple other ways to do it, but this is one of the examples we have taken. Okay. Real-time graphs. So sometimes in big data space, data is very important on that crucial moment. So you have to make sure data is coming real time, use bar graph, line graph, whatever, but in real time. And sometimes if you're using a network topology, like I have used in Network Load Advisor, you have to show the real growing network, what is happening, what is the current state of the system. So that is the thing. So another thing is how to enter into big data space as an UI and UX. This is my key learning in last 6 months. We were kind of hiring UX people in our company, and we were really hard time finding the candidate which suits the big data needs. Okay, so first thing is good understanding UX fundamental. I think most of the people already have it, so there is no point about it. So data visualization skills. So this thinking out of box to get something different out of box visualization is very important to connect multiple aspects of data. This is kind of lacking, which we have kind of understood while taking like 60-70 interviews. Acquired domain knowledge, I think people can acquire it, it's not a big deal. Industry need a good combination of UI and UX combination. As startup mode person, this is which is required by all the data companies mostly. So we need somebody who can do both the things. Currently what is happening, either people are good at UX or at UI. So we have to have a right balance of it. Problem solving, most of people have it. Then you have to create a portfolio accordingly aligning these features like data visualizations, showing your UX and UI, both the portfolios. Future in big data analytics for UI and UX. So let's talk about future of big data first. So if you look at this, data has exploded in last 10 years or so. If you look at, currently it says, HP says, by 2020 data will be 44 zettabytes of data. And earlier it was predicted to be 9 zettabytes, and now the figures have changed 5 times. And the data has blown up. So next one is another kind of stats, so I'll skip it, interest of time. So future of big data analytics. Big data isn't just an important part of future, it's the future. You can see everywhere data is being produced. Simplification of big data platform is the primary objective for almost all the analytical vendors nowadays. So there is a huge scope for big data in UX. So everyone wants to explore big data, not only the data scientist. Ease of use for normal user will increase by 400% in next 2020. So you can imagine there is a huge demand coming up in the market. So it's a good time to get into big data.